Lots of times I'd be trying to sleep and late at night or early morning, and I get a phone call. And somebody's like, Master, please tell us, why has there never been a good film version of Great Gatsby? So I have to get up and go light my pipe tobacco. See if I can answer such a vulgar question. But I can try. For one thing, it's not real. The only person I think who could possibly do a good version of The Great Gatsby would be Miyazaki. I don't know if he's doing any more films, but it would take his kind of animated genius to make any sense of Great Gatsby. The mistake is seeing the book in any way as being realism when it just simply isn't. It's a dream. It's pretty obviously a dream, and with some sidekick clown wannabe having an envy fest over Gatsby. So it's just not made. You can't take those words in Fitzgerald's style and do anything realistic with it. You know what it would look like? Really, some things it would look like, and we'll get back to these later. It would look more like this. If you're going to do a film of Great Gatsby, it's going to have to look more like this. It's going to have to look more like this. It's not going to look like Leonardo DiCaprio or Robert Redford or any of those guys. And I'll get back to this. For one thing, you keep hearing that it's the best book about the American dream. And since it is a dream, the book, it probably is a good version. You look at who achieves the American dream in that book. Well, you got the Buchanans. How did they achieve it? They fell into it. They could have a mansion by the time they're 30, and they're fine. They don't need to do scratch. And then Gatsby achieved the American dream, but he's completely corrupt. We know that. We never really find out many details about how he did it, but he's corrupt. Those two. Then there's the Wilsons. The garage doesn't work. Working hard. American dream's not coming true to him. And there's Michaelis near the end. The only character in the whole book, by the way, that I don't hate. And he's trying. He might make it. And don't forget about Ecclesburg's optometry business flopped. So, and all he can do is stare and watch the rest of us either flop or gloat. But I just want to look at one passage quickly in the book. I used to go over this back when I was a teacher and ask my students, what does this look like? I mean, if you're filming it, what images can you use from writing like this? So I go over it, and I'm not, what's his name, Andy Kaufman, that read the entire book of Great Gatsby in front of an audience and came to watch him be funny. Well, this is just a little bit, so be patient. This is Nick Carraway narrating, so we don't know how Gatsby's involved in this at all. We're taking Nick Carraway's word for it, and he's not reliable. One autumn night, 5 years before, they, being Gatsby and Daisy, they had been walking down the street when the leaves were falling. It's an autumn night. And they came to a place where there were no trees, and the sidewalk was white with moonlight. They stopped here and turned towards each other. Now it was a cool night with that mysterious excitement in it which comes at the two changes of the year. The quiet lights in the houses were humming out into the darkness, and there was a stir and bustle among the stars. Out of the corner of his eye, Gatsby saw that the blocks of the sidewalk really formed a ladder and mounted to a secret place above the trees. I can't keep a straight face. He could climb to it if he climbed along. And once there, he would suck on the pap of life, gulp down the incomparable milk of wonder. Now, if you're a real reader, and you're not just doing this because you're assigned, this is freaking hilarious. And it is not fodder for a realistic film. Now, if you want to get literary about it, I'm sure we'll run out of time before we can. But it's an autumn night, okay? What's that? Autumn, typically we think of as things dying and changing color or falling off the trees. Night, not always a positive image. They're walking down the street, and they're walking under a moonlight. I don't want to talk about what things symbolize, because I don't know, but we know that often in books and stories and myths, the moon is not reliable. For example, when your dad tells you, like you ask your dad, what's the moon look like? And he'd be like, come outside and look. And he points up at the moon, and it looks like a half circle or something. And you go back in, like 3 weeks later, you go out and it looks completely different. You're like, my dad's a liar. The moon doesn't look like that at all. So the moon, okay? They stopped there and turned toward each other. It was a cool night, okay? And then he says, the quiet lights, no such thing. What's that called? Does anybody know? Yes, synesthesia. He stole it from Keats, his favorite poem. It's when you have the same thing we talked about in an earlier post. This and this and this, the senses are united. The quiet lights in the house were humming out into the darkness. And how about this? There was a stir and bustle among the stars. It's got to be a Van Gogh painting. Otherwise, I don't know how you do that in a movie that you're trying, in which you're trying to be realistic. Out of the corner of his eye, Gatsby saw that the blocks of the sidewalk really formed a ladder and mounted to a secret place. It really is astonishing. It's not really, the sidewalk really does form a kind of Jacob's ladder, stairway to heaven. Cue up Led Zeppelin, please. Yeah, good, thank you. Out of the corners, it really formed a ladder. If he could climb it, if he climbed alone, and once there, he could suck on the pap of life, gulp down the incomparable milk of wonder. I probably should stop there because I want to tell you something about these pictures I just showed you earlier. But this guy being up above the trees, a secret place above the trees, sucking on the pap of life. I'm sure you know what a pap is. It's got a mammary gland, a teat, if you will. Breast. This book is crawling, is sick with breast imagery. We'll come back to that later, possibly. Once there, he could suck on the pap of life, gulp down the incomparable milk of wonder. Next time I go to Publix, when it's safe, I'm going to ask one of the clerks or the workers, like, I'm out of milk. Can you tell me where I can get the milk of wonder? The incomparable milk of wonder, because that's the kind of...